The Oakley-Lindsay Center on April 2nd is going to have Killer Queen back in town, and we're joined by Patrick Myers, the lead singer of Killer Queen. And Patrick, you guys have been at it now for 30 years almost, from what I
Coming up to that,
understand.
yeah, we started when we were about five, so that was our advantage.
Yeah,
Get in young.
that's a long time doing Freddie and Queen, though, isn't it? I mean, your vocal cords got to hang in there quite a while.
Yeah, you got to keep your vocal cords trained. Basically, you got to keep working on them. But your voice develops and matures as you get older, anyway. So in some respects, it gets easier. It's still hard to do, but you discover your voice is capable of doing more things as you get older. So that's nice.
So how did this all get started?
Um, I grew up and discovered Queen in my early teens, and then left for university back in '91. And there wasn't a tribute scene. There were no tribute bands. So people say, "Why did you choose Queen to be a tribute band?" It wasn't that way around. When we started singing these songs for each other, was a reaction to Freddie dying, which was a few weeks after we'd left home. So some of us knew some of the songs, some of us knew the other songs. There was a piano there in the laundry room, and while we were all waiting for our laundry to be done, we'd show each other Queen songs, and this is how this one goes, this is how this one goes, and I'd sing. And I'd sang in bands, and I'd trained in acting, and I'd done bits of movement and things at the National Youth Theatre. So I had that kind of background, and we gradually thought, well, let's do a show. Let's just do one or two shows and see how this goes. This could be joyous. This could be good, because we'd all missed out on seeing Queen live. We were just of that generation. We were a little bit too young last time they toured, and we put together a show, and bizarrely we got given the headline act for our first ever show at this very big ball, this grand ball of London. It was very Cinderella, the whole thing, and so we turned up there, and it just went down so well, that the person who booked us a whole tour, and then that led on to being in the West End, which is the Broadway equivalent over here, and then a few years on from that, it led on to selling out the same arenas that Queen played. So the rise was fairly rapid, and took us all by surprise, I have to say.
Wasn't it? I mean, wasn't it intimidating at all to say, okay, the band we're going
Absolutely.
to choose is Queen and Freddie Mercury?
I think the best thing that we had, our biggest advantage, was our youth and naivety, because we didn't know what we were doing. In as much as when we started, we didn't know how difficult it was going to be, and how fiendish those harmonies were, and the arrangements, and all of that. So, but we threw ourselves at it headlong, so to speak, and it seemed to work. And over the years, we've refined it over the years and got better, and introduced bigger production elements and all that sort of stuff. So yes, it was intimidating, and we certainly realised that this was like a huge mountain to climb, really, when we embarked on it. And we were nervous because we didn't know that people would want to see a tribute to Queen, because there were no tributes out there. There wasn't a huge scene. We didn't know whether people would think it was disrespectful or anything like that, and we didn't want it. We wanted to make sure that people knew that the tribute was coming from the right place, and they did. They got that straight away, and the reaction from the audience was so warm and so energetic and so enthusiastic and so passionate, and it maintains that to this day. People's love for Queen has only ever grown over the years, with things like, the We'll Rock You the musical, and really that the film Bohemian Rhapsody was a huge shot in the arm, and each of these things sort of open up the floodgates to a whole new generation of Queen music, and
You
it's been
guys,
brilliant.
did you finish university, or
I
did you
took a
just go,
year
okay,
off.
we
I'd
got our
taken
kid?
it, funnily enough, yeah, no, I took a year off anyway, before I did the concert, because I thought I was doing a theatre tour, and then the theatre tour didn't happen. And I thought, well, I've already taken the year off, I've already cleared it. Why don't I take the year off and just tour the country and see a bit of the world doing this? This is such fun. So that's how it sort of like got its legs, really, because I had all this time. And then I went back and quickly finished my last year at college, and got an acting agent, and didn't want to let this go. I was puzzled by it, because I hadn't expected to do it. So I was curious, and I was a little bit wary of the whole tribute scene. I thought, is this a scene that's going to go places, or is it only ever going to be bargain basement kind of thing? What is the tribute? Because there was no way of knowing at the time, because it was all new. And I wanted this to go places, and I wanted it to have good production values, and I didn't want to be stuck at the end of a pier somewhere, forever. I wanted to see if this thing had proper potential to do the show that I would like to see. You know, I would like to see a show in arena with the full things that when you can let yourself feel like it's Queen with Freddie again, you know, and you know, you get as much things right. You can't ever be Queen, but you can get as much as you can right and get the look right and get the sound right, so that you give people permission to let themselves, you know, share that conceit, you know. And so that's what I wanted to do. I had ambitions for it, but I wanted to make sure that the industry itself, the tribute industry, was going to take me there, you know. And there was no real way of knowing that without trying. So I just thought I'm just going to get on and keep doing it. And we've just been so lucky that these opportunities did, you know, finally come our way. And we were able to play arenas and things, and subsequently, you know, that led on to America and Red Rocks and Austin City Limits and a whole host of amazing venues that we've sold out. And we just love returning to. So I'm glad I stuck with it. You know, it's been fantastic fun and very rewarding. You know, in terms of the excitement and the buzz. You know.
Yeah, we're talking to Patrick Myers, lead singer of Killer Queen. They'll be back in Quincy at the Oakley-Lindsay Center on April 2nd, excuse me, at 7:00. So that group in the laundry room, is that the same group of guys?
No. I'm still in touch with everybody. It all took the band by surprise. So over a period of months and years, following on from that first show, people sort of like wandered back to the life that they planned to do, you know, before this sort of exploded. And we've been settled with the band, and so we've been touring with the band that we've had now for many, many years, and it's been a settled lineup for quite a long time. But no, the original guys I'm still in touch with because they're all my college mates. You know?
Right. So how much did you go to university then for acting? Was that the game plan?
Yeah, I was there. I'd trained in music, classical guitarist as a kid, and I taught myself piano, and I had a background in acting too. I'd done lots of touring and worked at the local theatres there and all sorts of things. So I went to London University because I thought the main thing was I didn't know how to combine everything I had. I wanted to do acting, but I didn't ever want to stop being in bands. And I wanted to perform, and I wanted to do costumes and, you know, have sets and be in theatres and just be involved with all of that. But I thought, I'm just going to have to say goodbye to being in a band. What a shame, because I absolutely love being in a band. You know, I've got to do acting, and it's got to be, you know, Ibsen or Shakespeare or something, you know. And I thought, right. But to be honest, my heart was never in that, really. All these lovely old plays, you know, they don't really float my boat. I enjoy them, you know, up to a point, but I've got a bit of a rock and roll heart, you know. Right. So acting was great, and I still got the acting agent. I've done some work and, you know, bits in TV and things in the odd film, but really, I love being on stage, you know, and so this has provided that perfect opportunity for me, and I love singing these songs, and seeing the reaction that they have with an audience and sharing those with an audience night after night, for me, is brilliant fun.
So when you first started, how much studying of Freddie Mercury did you do, or did you do more studying of his actions and stuff like that after you guys got rolling?
It's kind of a continuous process, really. I'd watched him, and we had very limited source material. We only had, because at the time you didn't have the internet or anything. So
true.
We all pulled together our various video cassettes, and we did this and we did that, it was quite an effort to find all the little bits that I wanted to find. We even tracked down Freddie Mercury's costume designer, Natasha Korniloff, and went round her house for a cup of tea and some biscuits. And we just did everything we could to you know, get as much as we could right. But I still do, you know, I still watch every time. You sort of keep relearning and coming back to it and thinking, yeah, I'm taking inspiration from seeing Freddie and the footage. You know, you never stop learning, you never stop developing and honing things, you know. So, you know, it's an ongoing process for me.
So when you come to Quincy on April 2nd,
yeah.
When do you start becoming Freddie when you take stage?
Well, I mean, you do sort of vocal, you know, I mean, you do vocal warm-ups and little physical things that, you know, throughout the day, particularly if you've been singing the night before, just to sort of coordinate your voice and vocal cords and get them in order. And really, I just do, you know, my preparation is quite simple, really. I just do some more of those warm-ups, and I do sort of, you know, press-ups and a few, you know, I've got some exercise routines that I do just to sort of energize the body. And I don't really think about it a great deal. And then I just bounce on stage and let the music take over. So I don't think, oh, I'm becoming Freddie.
Right.
It doesn't really work like that. You just get into the sort of, you know where you've got to get to, you know the energy, and you know the sort of the styles of movement that you're going to use. But a lot of it's, you use those things in it with a view to improvising with them rather than just endlessly repeating. You have fun every night and make new moves up and just extemporize a little bit with partly with how you sing it, but mostly, a lot of the time with how you move and things, and how you interact with the audience and how they're responding and playing with them, really.
So how important was to you guys to have the set that you do mirror the Queen set? Because I saw you guys a few years ago, and I have seen Queen with Adam Lambert a few times.
Yeah, fantastic.
So I think your set pretty well mirrors the way they do, or the set that they do. Am I wrong?
Well, they changed their set and we changed our set. So occasionally we might have accidentally, like a stop clock being right twice. We might have, have just happened across a similar set. Yeah, they do. We change it around and they change it around. We don't try and copy their set at all. We, if anything, we sort of aim towards the sort of the more 80s sort of opening of the show from Wembley '86 and things, but. No, I mean, it's certain structurally, you're not going to open with Bohemian Rhapsody, and go straight into We Are the Champions and We Will Rock You. Those will be towards the end of the show. So there are certain things that are given. But generally we keep sections of the set open to mess around with and change up. And but we don't try and copy Queen and Adam Lambert. I mean, they're amazing. They're an inspiration to watch. I love seeing their shows. I've got tickets to see their show coming. Sorry, we're in a hotel and the cleaners are just going crazy.
That's fine.
No, I love watching them. And I think Adam is sensational. I could listen to him sing all day. He's got the sort of voice that makes you want to resign.
well, that's the one thing. I was really skeptical when you guys came to town and we had friends, and I've been a huge Queen fan all along, and I was knocked over when you started performing. And I mean, that's a big compliment to you, because I don't know music well, but just the voice range that Freddie Mercury can hit. And that's why one of the first times I talked to you about is that challenge of picking him. And it's kind of funny how you came about.
Yeah.
And I was thinking, somebody's got to have a huge ego just to think, I'm going to be Freddie Mercury. I'm going to do a tribute band. But it's kind of cool the way you guys came about it.
Yeah, no, it wasn't an ego thing. A lot of people say, what are you doing, stepping into Freddie Mercury's shoes? And I don't think I am stepping into Freddie Mercury's shoes at all. But sometimes those words get put into our mouths during interviews and stuff. And that kind of frustrates me a bit, because it's not how I characterize it. We were fans, and we were upset. We were heartbroken, and we felt like the whole world felt robbed of Freddie Mercury, like he was ours by right. Because you demand a lot from, and people have naturally demanded a lot from Queen over the years, because they produced so many good albums after album after album after album. People, you get greedy for them, really, and suddenly you realize that was all gone, and that he had this horrible time of it, and but he left this amazing work. So we didn't come to it from a point of view of arrogance at all. We wandered into it, and then when we realized that, okay, now we're going to prepare a concert, we were quite focused, but we were terrified of failing. I nearly turned down that first show because I thought those exact things. I thought, who on earth could do this? How could this ever be accepted? I just genuinely didn't think was unsure whether it could be or not. So it was a real test for me, that first show, about where an audience would be in terms of their, whether they'd receive something like this in the right spirit, and whether we were up to it. And thankfully, they carried us through that night, and held us on their shoulders, and we sang to the stars, and it was brilliant fun. But we didn't.
I'm sorry. Tell me about the Live Aid recreation you guys did with Bob Geldof.
Bob Geldof, yeah. What happened was, it was for a charity in Malta, for homeless children, and he was playing there that night, and I think for fun, really. He said, let's get a load of tributes, but the same ones that did Live Aid, so you'd have a U2 and you'd have Queen, and I can't remember who else was there. It was definitely U2 and Queen, and so it was a U2 tribute, and it was Killer Queen, and then we met Bob, and They put us in this cheap hotel, and Bob was in the posh hotel for proper stars, you know. And Bob found out about that for some reason. He said, "No, I want all the tributes in the same hotel as me, please. Thank you very much. They're still a band, you know. They're not second-class citizens, you know."
Right.
So, and I thought that was really sweet of him. So I met him, and I think I don't know. I think they possibly, you know, thought it might be a bit of a laugh to see, because they're all mates with Bono, and you know, and it might be a laugh to see the tribute versions of them running around. But in the end, they really enjoyed it, and I was speaking to another member of the Boomtown Rats, and they had a great time, and they were sort of like, I think they took away more than they were expecting, you know, from that show. And we stayed side stage and watched Bob sing. He wasn't reformed the Boomtown Rats then, but it was some of the members there, and he was fantastic. It was great. It was lovely seeing him work a crowd and play his songs. He's a nice man.
So you're doing 17 dates in 30 days while you're in the States. I don't know if you counted them up or not.
You do count them off and you count them down.
That's a lot, though.
Yeah, well, that's only a bit of it. We're back again. We're doing about 20 weeks altogether, spread out through the year. Because we're back again in July, then we're back again in September, October, and then we're back again in November. So we're very much in demand in America, which is great because we like being over here.
So Patrick Myers from Killer Queen, the lead singer, again at the Oakley-Lindsay Center on April 2nd. Show starts at 7. I'm going to give you some quick hitters, okay?
Yeah.
And song you wish you had in the rotation. What Queen song that you do not have in a rotation that you wish you had?
I'd like to do Innuendo, but they got Steve Howe in on guitar to do some of the more. I mean, I do play classical guitar, but I'm not Steve Howe level, and that's a song that I'd like to do. But there's lots of songs I'd like to do. I'd like to do some of the more sort of vaudevillian numbers, you know, like Good Company and things like that. You know,
yes,
those things. I mean, we're doing a little bit of that. We've introduced Good Old Fashioned Lover Boy, but you know, you've got to find a way to get them in the set to make them practical within a touring situation. And Innuendo is such a monster track. I think we'd actually have to have another extra couple of musicians in to make it work.
You do
so many guitars.
Do you do Love of Your Life?
We do Love of My Life. We don't do it every show, but we do it. It's a beautiful song, particularly in South America. It's absolutely extraordinarily popular song there.
So what is do you have a favorite that you perform?
My favorite
one that you can't wait to do.
Yeah, no, I mean, it changes. I was really sort of enthusiastic. I mean, I'm enjoying Good Old Fashioned Lover Boy and Save Me at the moment because those are the ones we've just popped into the set, and they're just good fun to play. But you know, I love singing Bohemian Rhapsody. I like singing Hammer to Fall. You know, they've got a lot of zest and verve to them, these songs. You know, and so they're good to get stuck into. So really, my favorite song sort of changes and wanders about a bit, you know, as we tour around, you know.
Yeah, I would think Somebody to Love would be one that would be a blast.
Somebody to Love is great. It's great fun. Yeah, it's a lovely song because it's got such a lot of dynamic range in it in terms of where he sings and how he sings in that song. So it's you know, it tests your vocals, it stretches them out on the rack a little bit, but it's great fun to do.
Is there a non-Queen song you wish you could do? If you could throw some other cover song in there?
That's something I've never even thought about. Well, we do a little bit of. Queen used to do some rock and roll stuff, just to put some of those tempos in, and have a bit of fun, sort of break it up from their own repertoire. So we do that as well. We have little rock and roll medleys now and again. So we're not adverse to doing non-Queen songs. Not too much of it, so people think, what are they doing? So we do insert a few, you know, things, mainly just to instill that, you know, up that party atmosphere vibe, you know.
Are you superstitious? Do you eat the same thing before every concert?
No, I'm not superstitious. No, I tend to have something that's very easily to digest before a show. When I eat hours before a show, so I'll have something like a very, very, very tiny portion of a bolognese or something with mincemeat or something and pasta, so you get a tiny bit of energy. But really, I don't eat very much before a show, so that will only be like a, you know, homeopathic amount of food just to keep me going, and then I have a little bit of dinner afterwards, but I'm not superstitious. I'm just practical, you know, so I need to do warm-ups, and if my voice is low and, you know, ragged from the night before, I spruce it up in the morning and make sure it's tip-top for the sound check and stuff. So those are just practical things. I don't have any routines other than that, you know.
What was the name of your first band?
We were called the Nasty Termites. Yeah,
So
What happened was I was a huge Beatles fan as well as the Queen fan. I was primarily a Beatles fan first, and then just wanted to find my own Beatles that were still going. So that's how I found Queen. And I think they carry on a certain lineage actually in terms of songwriting quality and use of the studio and stuff and all sorts of things and the amount of songwriters in the band. But so yeah, we had this name. We thought, well, the Beatles it sounds like a crazy name if you just look at it without knowing their legacy. So let's just choose something that's similar. So we called ourselves the Termites, and we thought that just sounds awful. And it doesn't even, it sounds so benign. So let's make ourselves a bit more rock and roll. Let's call ourselves the Nasty Termites. So the Nasty Termites we were. And I was only about 15 or 16.
As opposed to the friendlier termites that are out
there. The affable termites.
Yes.
There was a range of options available,
So were you able to, when you first got started in music, did you write a lot?
Did I write? Yeah, I still do. Yeah,
I write.
Yeah, I write. I wrote tons of stuff during lockdown, actually. I had quite a purple patch. And I wrote a song in the style of Queen, which we released a video for during lockdown, which was great fun, called We'll Fight Again. But I do write in my own songs. There are Queen influences in there, definitely, because I think when you've spent so much time in the company of such amazing songs, you see possibilities and ways of doing things that wouldn't necessarily have occurred to you before, and so you take on board those influences, and I wear them proudly. So there's a bit of Queen, there's a bit of Elton, a bit of ABBA, all going on in there in my own writing, as well as a bit of me, I hope, somewhere.
Sure there
in the
is.
mix.
Well, thanks for joining us, Patrick, and enjoy your trip, and we'll see you in Quincy on April 2nd.
It's been a pleasure.
All right, that's Patrick Myers, lead singer of Killer Queen. He'll be at the Oakley-Lindsay Center on April 2nd, 7 p.m. Tickets. You can go to Oakley-Lindsay Center's website and grab your tickets now.